Okay, good.
Okay, so here we are. So, something beautiful really happened. The latest recording, which I got it on the YouTube, it was where this female, she just got tapped into some language which she just used to talk.
Yes, Heather.
Yeah, yeah, Heather. And so interestingly, she said something that she was thinking to cancel the meeting with you
Mm.
because by the time she could have this in real time, many things were already sorted and have already been taken care of. So it was something, it was in my mind also, like, should I really go on with the meeting or should I cancel? Because here now, I really don't know if I need something to ask because the things get pretty much clear with the conversations which you have with other people and all. And I feel mostly people have somewhere here and there similar kind of like lack of clarity, I would say.
Yes,
So when that clarities has been removed by the conversations and all, so my pretty much clarities were pretty clear. So I thought I don't know whether I should go with this conversation, but I thought like mainly this conversation because mostly what you generally have the conversation is most with the European people with the other, but I have hardly seen people from the Indian backgrounds.
no,
And
there are only yeah, only two or three really. So yeah, it's quite interesting really. But well, let's see how things go because um, I'm sure there is clarity. But we can just check one or two things out and see
yeah,
if
definitely.
we can help. But it's wonderful. That's really a recurring theme. Lots of people make appointments and then watch some conversations, and then they don't really need the conversation. So it's great that so many people are realizing their true nature just from watching the recordings.
Yes, I think so. The true nature is a very simple thing, but I think so. The way it has been presented, I don't know about West, but India, the way it has presented, it has so much drama, so much story. So the real point gets just missed out.
Yes. Yes.
So, there are
Yes.
a lot of stories involved and direct to the pointing, where in
Yes.
your case, your pointing is direct. Like,
Yes.
there's not much content involved and with the story, but it just
Mm.
bullseye.
Great. That's that's the best way. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
So, do you feel you're clear on the distinction? Because really, the simplest way to see one's true nature is in the distinction between impersonal being and the personal mode of experience, because impersonal being is always there. It's just an open space. It's like an ocean or a field of awareness and beingness within which everything is already appearing. And that's the only thing we've ever been. It's just that we have this secondary mode, which is the personal mode where we're using language to make it seem as though we're existing as a separate person, and then we have the body mind, which is a kind of symbol of that. But yeah, I like the way you see it so simply because that is exactly the way it is, and it's in that simplicity that there can be realization for so many people because it doesn't require the jargon and the the aspect in terms of suffering is something which is slightly different, but that can be addressed as well. So, um, but let's have a little look. But it looks as though there isn't much to do really for you. It looks as though it's already there.
but still lovely because uh, why I thought to have when this clarity was already there when I thought of canceling this, but then I thought like let it just happen because maybe what made on to hold on for so many years, it could be same thing with other people also, and maybe they
Yes,
are looking similar same solution. So
yes,
maybe conversation can help other people to like just to get on from this. So
yeah.
maybe
Well, could you just explain the sequence as it's been for you? Because it seems as though there's been spirituality probably for all your life, and then just an acceleration and clarity coming in quite recently. But if you could just mention the way that happened, the way it unfolded, because that's really what's most helpful to people.
yeah. So, what I felt for me, if I have to relate to this, for me, it was language.
Mm.
Because the thing is, I realized that everybody has a fixed definition and a fixed meaning regarding every word.
Yes.
Like, so, when we use this word, oh, you see this. So I used to always feel see through this sense perception.
Mm.
But that seeing is not so. I used to when you come to this non-dual sessions and all,
Mm.
and you often hear this thing that you see everywhere as yourself.
Mm.
So I'm trying literally too hard to see with this physical eyes, and I used to
Right.
feel, God, I don't feel, because because English not being my first language, and the thing is, most of the non-dual teachers are the only content available in YouTube is from the English teachers. There's very little content available in our language.
No.
So the language is a very important role. So when it's not like when you don't understand the every word what they are speaking, it can create a lot of mess.
Yes.
So always looking that my physical eyes also should see that I am this and that they are one.
Mm.
But as with your pointings, and I have another teacher also with the Zoom teaching who made me see it's not about looking this, but it's more about knowing within. That
Yes.
know shifts the energy, the way how we perceive the world.
Yes.
So the first thing is for me the language, the
Yes.
clarity in language, yeah.
Yes.
So for me, if I have to say something about story of Anisha, so as you said, yeah, since ever I can recall my childhood, I've always seen that I was a seeker.
Mm.
I was a seeker. I remember I was playing with the ball when I was a 7 year, and I think so. You're pretty much aware about most of the Indian philosophy, isn't it?
Mm.
You must be aware of Gita as well.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
was a 7 year old child playing with the ball, and there was a calendar, and it said something like like you have some gospel like written
Mm.
over there.
Mm.
And being a 7 year old child, I just dropped the ball and I just started. And it just felt that so much of resonance. I did not understand, but I felt like this thing is telling me something. It's
Mm.
calling me something.
Mm.
So I feel since ever I can remember, I was always a spiritual seeker.
Mm.
Like I always wanted to know who this God is, and how if I have ever a day to meet him, I would ask him, how did you created this world, and why there's so much of suffering, why people they can't respect each other, why money is so much of power, why money makes people slave, like they just
Mm.
don't care about respect of people, and they just treat people like animals.
Mm.
So like this thing was always there within it. And as I grew up and as a teenager, my this aspect of seeking just got other things of teenager, like
Mm.
going to friends and chasing boys and this and that. And but eventually, being an Indian background, got married.
Mm.
And then again that seeking started because there was some kind of suffering in my life.
Mm.
So basically, spiritually is a last medicine one can take, like,
Yes.
okay, the last door, like, okay. So now I realize nothing is there in the world. No, everything is there out there in the spiritual world. So I was associated to an organization for maybe 22 years.
Mm.
And believe me, David, I was a hardcore eater. I just wanted to reach the truth. But then later on, I realized, because in India, being raised in India, this concept of soul, it's not new.
Mm.
The child is born, if I can use this word called Atman.
Yes.
Every child in India knows what Atman is
Mm.
because they have heard it so much, they believe that they know it.
Mm.
So even I was to an organization where they talk so much about these qualities of Atman, 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 and then I realized, but they talk so much of Atman, but I don't resonate. There's none of the qualities which I see, though the qualities are already there, but maybe I was looking in some other direction. So I started asking the people of that organization, what is the experience of this Atman? How do I really know that I know this Atman?
Mm.
Like what it is. And I feel that most of the people they failed because they were only speaking what they have heard. Like, it was
Yes.
not coming from the first hand.
Yeah.
Then I said, my God, this was the last hope. Now, what do? I never had a remote idea that there is some thought of school called non-duality.
Mm.
But maybe this had to come my way. So somehow I got to Rupert Spira, Moji, and I was never. I don't know whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, but I'm a person. I don't stick to one person. I like to I like to explore other things, and I feel what comes
Yeah.
easy is easy for me. So
Yes.
I just kept I must have heard. I don't know. Maybe if you say me, maybe I know all the non-dual teachers. Maybe not all, but whatsoever
Most
the
of them.
yeah, most of them.
Good. Yeah.
Yes. So in that, when you just popped up, when how you say when you subscribe to something in YouTube, they keep on sending you the same content.
So, yes.
So I got a channel from you, and especially it's the heading, right? So that really motivates you to listen to that video when the subtitles are written, like what the video is all about.
Yes.
So I heard one of your conversations. Then I went through this conscious TV, which you were having a one-to-one like interviews and all. And I
Yes.
said, "Wow, this is so pretty easy. This is so. I mean, that's it." Then again, the mind came in. I said, "No." I mean, mind says, "Oh, it's a lovely experience and this and that." Well, he's talking. It makes sense, but does I mean, still I don't have the experience. Then again, I made some other shopping. This then, but
Good shopping.
yeah. So then, but slowly, because the quest, the fire was there, something was getting matured in the scene, matured in the scene, matured in the scene. And again, when I mailed you, I think so, just the day before, again, I had one of your sessions. And then everything was very clear. The first and foremost key was that which I encountered in my experience is what we call this wide open. It's not a question of experience because we think it's an experience and I want to get that experience, but it's not an experience. It's more like a knowing that you know it by within your first hand. Like
Yes.
this, it is. So, I felt most of the people where they stumble is because they think enlightenment or knowing recognition, I would say, not enlightenment. Recognition is some sort of experience, which
No,
is not it.
exactly. That tends to be the last thing to go, really.
Yeah. And then with this, I realized then there was like, since I heard you and I booked a conversation with you, since after that, what did take place that I'm sharing with you? Then it came like, this sound, whenever this voice comes out, I feel Anisha is speaking.
Mm.
Then I realized, but this voice is also not Anisha because Anisha is not an entity, it's just a symbol. So
Mm.
even this voice is the voice of consciousness itself coming because it uses the instrument.
Yes.
So slowly, so like all these things just started falling in place. And like how you said, I used to feel that it should look one, but it's not like looking, it's more like knowing, that
Yes.
knowing, expanding, where everything is inclusive. And like, resenting is also a part of still an individuality because in this, like there's no dislike or resentment for anything. It's all inclusive,
Yes.
it's all here. So all these things still I feel some maturity has to still happen because as of now I've not encountered the other side, but you never know what's around the corner. So but yeah, it's pretty much clear, whatever the form arises, it's not me. I
Yes.
can watch. So whether I can give my consent, as you said, if you want to subscribe to that lower frequency, that's your choice.
Mm.
But if you don't want to, because if it is not benevolent for either, why to subscribe to such a mode? Just let it go, just flow it, and then remain just in your state of neutral. So this pointings, it really helps because it does not waste a lot of energy. Why this thought came and am I not yet like in myself? No,
Mm.
just processes, and maybe these kind of frequencies will also like as you don't subscribe them, they just pass by.
Yes. Yes.
So in
Fantastic.
nutshell, this was the whole I wanted to talk about.
Well, that's great. Do you feel that you can experience as a field of beingness or awareness? Because what you've seen really which is that self-realization isn't an experience. It's your true nature is the beingness or awareness within which all experiences arise. Um, so beingness is completely effortless. So beingness is like a still ocean, and then waves of experience and form arise on that ocean.
Yeah,
And so we've been conditioned to experience as though we're a human being. So it's the idea of separation, the idea that you're existing as a separate being, and then there's a world outside. But actually, we can experience in unity consciousness, which is where we just rest effortlessly as this open space of beingness, and then these waves of form are arising, and they're arising impersonally because being is impersonal. We are the infinite impersonal being. And when we just notice that, so it's quite easy in a conversation like this just to see that the forms appearing are appearing on the same ocean of awareness. So the voices are appearing and the forms are appearing, and um, there is no there's no personalization until we engage language to use either the name or words like I, me, or mine, because they then create a character. It's like a phantom character. But and where there's just the direct seeing, it's just it's an open space of impersonal beingness and awareness within which everything is just arising effortlessly, and um, and that is always available. Um, and when we know that, actually, it becomes the most appealing place to reside, because the energy involved in the mental, emotional, and physical realms is something which it requires a lot of effort um, and preoccupation, whereas just resting enables, well, it actually enables the dualistic realm to be kind of recalibrated in a way, because the mental, emotional, and physical realms, um, once there's the clarity of impersonal being, then the mind tends to go quiet, and then the emotions tend to settle as well. And then the impact of the emotions on the body isn't taking place. So the body tends to return to balance. So it is, I love the way you see it so simply and explain it really well, really clearly.
uh, I just wanted to know one thing. Like as you said, the mind gets quietened. The thing is, there's no emotional energy. I haven't seen this emotional jerk, whatever turbulence, which goes since many months. I don't know. I don't know since long, because as I told you, I was more than 23 years in this spiritual organization
Yes.
also, where to do a lot of work on your positive thinking.
Yes.
Like, so the thing is, already there was a lot of gone of this personal me story, like,
Mm,
so that was already not there. But the thinking, my thinking is still there regarding this processing of this understanding.
mm,
Like, so because maybe I see a lot of people around me, those who are stuck in very fixed thinking, like, because,
yes.
India is a land of so many goddesses,
Yes.
and it's a whole, I don't know, it is the biggest mall of religion and
Mm,
gurus, and
mm,
so there are many people from the different like, everybody has their different mindsets,
yes.
and does not suit to the another. So, you have to have a lot of logical thinking to make them really
Yeah.
understand. So my lot of thinking, and I enjoyed it also doing it, like,
Mm,
it, because it also opened up my new way of seeing this, the vastness of the being, like, it compasses so many things. So I just wanted to know if that is also okay, or this is also a use up of energy.
really, the the way to help people is the opposite to the way we've been taught, really, which is to just be available, because the infinite being will bring people to you where they're ready and where there is resonance between you. and they're exactly the ones who you can have a conversation with, and it will be meaningful, and there can be clarity, and there can be assistance with realization. The the way the Indian culture is, in a way, it's a reflection of Kali Yuga at the moment, because as you've recognized, the simplicity of beingness is it's a unified field, and there are no levels or grades within unity. So everything is equal. But if you take, say, the caste system in India, or different systems and hierarchies around the world, they're they're giving people this idea, where they're kind of subscribing to those levels. And while we're putting ourselves above or below anyone else, there isn't really the possibility of realization, because realization is the simplicity and equality of the infinite timeless being. And so we have to put the beliefs and the, whatever qualifications or status we have on the personal or human level, we have to leave that at the door of realization, because you can't go in with any kind of grades.
True. Yes.
So that's really that's really the key thing in terms of Indian culture. And I feel that um, it's the infinite being who knows the solution, really. And my feeling is that the simplicity and the clarity of realization is something which is becoming easier and easier. Many people are now realizing their true nature quite easily and effortlessly. And that's because consciousness, or the infinite being, is a single field. It's actually it's a field we all share. So the simplicity and the ease of realization is something which becomes available to others. So where the dogma was predominating, that could begin to dissolve, and then there's more openness to seeing the simplicity of their true nature. And so that really is um, the solution is on the level of beingness rather than in the conceptual realm. Because if we get engaged in sort of exchanging concepts with people, all it does is just creates polarities in the mind. It doesn't have any effect in terms of beingness. In
Mm.
fact, it's counterproductive usually, because we never really persuade anybody to change anything. All the change comes from within. So that isn't a great way to spend our energy, really.
True. And I just wanted to explore one thing with you, which is a little challenge. It's like, when uh, it has been deeply ingrained to sit for meditation, yeah.
Mm.
So now, but somehow I just enjoy, because that's a place where I just be,
Yes. Yes.
just the vastness and all.
Yes.
So it takes, as you said, it's an effort coming into the realm of mental realm and all.
Yes.
So for me, it is when I have my time, like, if I have set for some time, and the thing is, mostly my room is locked, so I take an time of an environment to get again back to that field. But
Yes.
somebody comes in, so I feel a lot of agitation, like, I just don't, like, the words don't come out, and the thinking is almost gone. So, like, there's a lot of force that you have to give, and especially when this just being here is so blissed out. But when someone forces you to come back, so I feel a lot of agitation there. So, like, how do you advise me for that? Like, just to creating a harmony, like, because if we are living in the world, people may need you anytime, they will not take your permission.
Yes.
So, like, I feel like even this agitation is somehow, I don't know, it is not synchronized with the true nature I am.
No.
I I feel there is something which is missing out for the clarity for that channel to just free flow.
Yes. So is the agitation when you're coming out of meditation, or is it during meditation as well?
No, in meditation, never. When it is when I'm forced to talk, when I
Yes,
have to attend a phone call,
yes,
and especially when the phone call, like, there are some people who are attention seekers, like,
yes.
and
And you're in
so
blissful meditation, and then they want to talk to you about
uh, just, just, just,
their
just
phone bill or something.
yeah, you just don't. I mean, okay, you didn't answer. It's okay. You just understand. But there are some people who will just keep on and just, so special, and especially because maybe I know it is just waste of time. There's nothing happening there. So
Yes.
especially that thought creates a lot of, I don't know whether that thought, I think so that thought must be creating an agitation, because I this is very precious to me because it has come after ages.
Yes. Well, really, some of the conditioning we've had is to be in service to others. A lot of the religious conditioning is the idea of being in service to others, but sometimes that service isn't really beneficial. So the feelings you're getting, in a way, are like an intuitive guidance, and they're allowing you to sort of streamline the way you handle situations, because you're obviously someone who would love to be available to help people to realize their true nature, but you don't really want to have a 2 hour conversation about their grocery bill. So, so that's so it's just a matter of, on a sort of practical level, of organizing things so that you're not available for the times, because it comes down to sovereignty, really, because you're entitled to have that time without interruption. And it may be that there are family responsibilities, and and you need to be available for those, but largely really filtering out any possibility of being interrupted, because meditation meditation gives you the sort of richness of the subtlety of experience, because there can be, so there's the knowing of one's true nature, knowing oneself as the infinite being, but there are actually deeper levels experientially where we can know that, and we can dwell there. And it can be progressive, because the more we become familiar with those deeper levels, the more accessible they become. And so that's really, it's just being fair to oneself, really, not to permit that kind of interruption. So however you organize that, but it is really that aspect. But I feel the same sometimes. If I go into a deep meditation, or into a deep level of bliss, it does sometimes take a little while to get back into the world, because we need to re-engage on a mental, emotional, and physical level. And it's a bit like diving. I think with when divers go really deep, they need quite a long time to adjust to the change in pressure. And it's like that
Exactly.
with meditation, really. If you go really deep in meditation, it can be very jarring to come out, and to be engaging in the world again. So allowing sufficient time and being rested, and allowing a period of transition, is really important, to enable that.
Yes. Yes. And the other thing which I wanted to clarify, because you are the only person whom I'm seeing talking, like, I heard you in one of your sessions where you talk about, like, how there are level of dense energies, which you were stating, like in the color of Vibgyor, like, like how this, like how in India we say there are three gunas, Sato, Raju, and
Yes,
Tamu. So
yes,
you're quite aware of those things, like.
yes.
So, so what would you recommend, like, in having this? Like, of course, I don't eat non-veg and I don't drink, I don't smoke. But how about the choice of vegan? Like, do they also play and role on this? Uh, like how you can, because the more subtler you are, the radar from red to it's that,
Yes,
so I just want
exactly.
to know about
Yes,
that.
well, food does have an impact. Obviously, it has an impact on the body of food, on the physical body and the health there, but it can also affect the mind and the emotions. So, do you use the principles of Ayurveda?
What is that? I don't know.
I probably haven't pronounced it very well, but Ayurveda is the Indian system of,
Ayur, yeah. The thing is, yeah, Ayurveda. So no, I don't do it, but I do consume milk.
yes,
Like sometimes, I like, so it's a dairy product, right? So
yes,
sometimes we go out. If I have a pastry, it may have an egg. So, so these two choices, which I was really concerned of.
yes.
So because like staying in India, we have grown with milk and this. So I just, of course, I try to not use it as much as, like, because thinking of the violence, what has been happening. If I can have my black tea, why not? Why to consume it? So I often see the what is the most beautiful choice which is there, which
Yes.
can also end the planet which is there. But suppose
Yes.
if I'm to Italy, where a tiramisu is much better than India's. So maybe have a tiramisu, but that will have an egg. So I was just thinking on that, like, what would you say? Like,
Well, my basic principle is I never eat anything which has a heart. So, no animal products or fish or anything really. Um, with with veganism, it depends on the physiology really, because some people can live very healthily on veganism, with a vegan diet. Other people, it's more difficult. And I did try becoming vegan, but because I at the time was doing quite a lot of physical activity,
yeah.
um, it wasn't really robust enough to be able to keep the
For
physiology.
me, this choice is not coming naturally. It's like a pressure on me. So I
Yes.
don't know, like, some, because I do carried away by ice creams and this and that.
Mm.
So, like, so I just like, I said, whether even if I ask David, but even if I'm going to eat ice cream, why should I ask him? But then it just happened that I
Yes.
just,
The really the solution I see is that because the dualistic realm isn't in alignment with God or the infinite being, um, then the energy is supplemented. So the reason for the food chain and the reason for consuming food is because the dualistic realm isn't in alignment with the infinite being. If it was, if there was total harmony, if it was Satyuga, then there would be no need for consumption. So the most important thing really is for the dualistic realm to be reintegrated back into unity consciousness, and then there won't be the need for consumption in the way it is at the moment.
like, the bliss of being in this infinite awareness of what you say, effortless. It's so beautiful. And
Yes,
I've been in being in the being of the bliss is much more beautiful that, like, it just
yes,
like even in you in the midst of people, but something that just keeps on like
yes,
pulling you back.
yeah, exactly. Well, impersonal being is always there. So even in the midst of people, impersonal being is predominating, and the degree to which we engage the personal realm is optional. So obviously, if we're having a conversation with somebody or we're engaged, in some way in the dualistic realm, then it requires attention. But we can regulate the degree of investment of attention and energy in those realms. So we're still primarily resting as impersonal being, and we only engage the personal realm when we need to. So in this conversation, for instance, it's mainly resting as infinite impersonal being, and there's full receptivity then, and because it's a field of unity, then the ability to communicate and experience in unity is much more enriching. And then there's the opportunity to engage the personal realm and say a few words as well. But it's from unity, all relationships are on a completely different level because it isn't in the dualistic realm and it isn't a competition anymore. It's kind of yielding so that, I'd have been happy just to sit here and just rest as effortless impersonal being and allow Anisha to speak for the whole of the time.
Yeah, same here. Before I could even like start this conversation with you, there was a sense like as if I've been knowing David all my life. Like, like otherwise it's very strange. Like you have never met a person, you have never heard about that. But that faith in that conversation, and that as you feel the unity consciousness, like this is like it just lifts up all the veils, and it just brings so much oneness, like so much love, I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just really the distinction between experiencing in the dualistic realm or experiencing unity, there's absolutely no comparison. From the knowing of one's infinite nature, then they can be redefined on the basis of one's intuition. So even though if you say you do a Google search on the koshas, it lists the physical body as number one, the emotional body number two, the mental body number three, body of wisdom number four, and body of bliss number five, which is upside down because it's Kali Yuga. It's making it seem as though we begin as a physical entity and then we have to resolve the emotional, mental, and then eventually, if we can resolve all those different levels through thousands of lifetimes, we can
If I can
eventually be back.
if I can just interrupt you, this was the most valuable thing which came across through your teachings, because the thing is, when you start from this, there is no way that you can take out you human from your experience,
No.
because the beginning is very wrong.
Yes.
So, like, this is what when I used to practice, but I used to always feel, but why I'm still feeling human?
Mm.
Though there were deep experiences of meditation, because never nobody showed the correct format, like how the hierarchy really works out. But it's always that. So it is not Anisha who's experiencing the body, but it is an awareness which appears, and it's an awareness who has this experience. So
Exactly.
I mean, this it's so valuable. I really can't thank you enough for all these things.
Well, thank you. It's great fun actually, and it's amazing just witnessing the way infinite intelligence is opening up availability, so widely these days. And yeah, really, it's just really fascinating to see the way it's going. But the nice thing is we can't, nothing's really going on a personal level. It's all coming through us. And I've had some amazing conversations where people have realized their true nature, well, really by recognizing what you saw, which is, um, sometimes people say, well, I've been meditating all these years and I've been having these great experiences, but I can't really get rid of this sense of me. There's always this sense of me. And I said, well, that's just really the mistaken identity because what you've taken to be you as a separate being, the knowing of that sense of existence and that sense of beingness, which is fully known and was never obscured and is always available all along, has been the existence of the infinite timeless being. And so many people have just realized their true nature with that simple statement.
Yes, yes, yes. That was the most, for me, I feel that was an eye opener, and everything since then just changed, and everything it just fall into places. Yeah, it's one line, but look how important that line is, that it can really, like, people who are on this path, maybe I don't know how many years, but simple one line understanding can turn the whole ball
Yeah.
ball game,
Yes.
like.